On today's podcast,
we actually talk about business.
look at us.
Look at us go. We're talking about bridal market on this podcast. So we went to the bridal market, chose dresses for the store. We're talking about the ins and the outs, the things that we should know, the things we should have known, the things that newbies should know.
Yeah, like it's going to be a good one. Welcome to the Chronicles of Caffeine and Ambition, hosted by the Cinder Sisters. I'm Stacy.
And I'm Megan. And what we are here to do on our podcast is tell you about business, life, families. Essentially, everything that we do, we want to share with you because we have a lot of self-confidence. We've learned a lot of self-confidence over the years.
We sure have.
And we want to share that with you. We want to show you how.
Let's do this.
All right, now we've talked about travel a whole lot because we love traveling. And our last piece of travel was for work. So let's debrief that because we actually had some good takeaways that were business related.
We were in Chicago.
It's a good start to the debrief.
Yeah.
Where
were we? So we were in Chicago for bridal. There's lots of hubs that you can go to, and they do essentially a trade fair, like a show with all the wedding gowns and the bridesmaids and all the accessories and all that stuff. So one of them Chicago. There's one in New York. We've been to the one in Barcelona. I know I'm sure there's tons.
There's a ton of others. There's Paris. There's Atlanta. There's a whole bunch of them. They did Vegas for a while. We joked about going to that one.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Essentially, we just look at it as reasons to travel, but it does have a work purpose.
Exactly, which I'm totally okay with. Yeah, we were in Chicago, and it was, it's so different traveling for business, even though we try and fit pleasure things in, except for this time we didn't really. We actually spent majority of the time at the show.
We did. I mean, there was so much to see, but we had specific purposes. We went this time, one, to show the girls what it's like to buy at a market.
Yes.
So that they can do it without us, but also to pick up new designers. So seeing them in person is so important at that point because we don't know what their construction is like and we don't know about them. We don't know the wraps. We don't know anything about them. So it's like a fact-finding mission.
Totally.
And to see the dresses in person. But I mean, there are so many things to choose from. Like the first year that we went, do you remember the first year that we went to Chicago? Because it was the first market we'd ever been to.
Yeah, it was like overwhelming,
like so much to see. And how do you differentiate? And that's sort of what I started thinking, because we love talking about our travels, we love traveling, but we do this for a purpose, even though we do try to make it fun. But if we had gone back, if we could go back and know the things that we know now, like what should we tell people about being prepared for business travel with a purpose, especially to bridal markets? Because we did meet one of the other ladies that is in Ottawa who has a shop, and at the end of the trip, she was overwhelmed.
She was overwhelmed. I think we probably still looked overwhelmed.
We may have looked overwhelmed.
Oh my gosh. Remembering your brand and remembering your bride. I think are big things. Our standard for dresses themselves is very high. For me, the biggest thing, like if you don't fit well into the brand and what we look for in quality, then it's not going to work, which a few of the designers just were not up to par as to what we like in a wedding gown.
I think that's a fantastic point. Like both of those are great points. Yes, you have to know who you're serving. Yeah. You have to have your pinpoint on who your bride is, because if you can't bring in the dresses that she wants to see, then you're not getting anywhere.
Exactly.
But that is a great point, because knowing how we need to be represented and what quality is a huge thing for us. Yeah. So we look for quality, which is why we want to touch the dresses, feel the dresses, see the construction, see the fabrics. It makes a big difference to us and our business because of the way that we think of things. It makes a big difference if a designer changes the fabric or changes the color.
Oh my gosh, totally. And to see, it's like during COVID and we had to pick everything through a computer screen or on a book or something like that, and looking at it, and everyone even knows, like when you're going through Pinterest and you're a new bride and you're looking at all these dresses and they come in colors underneath the lace, which is generally ivory. Well, that color is not actually the color that it is when you come and see it at the shop, because I mean, a computer screen, everyone's is different, and so it all comes out differently. So the same with when we look at dresses to buy them, I need to go look at them. I need to touch them. Like you said, like if we go and put somebody who is a size 20 in a dress and the boning isn't there or the construction on the inside isn't there, it's not going to hold you up. Then it's not going to look the same as what it does in a picture. So that's why we need to touch them. That's why we need to go see them. And that's why construction and everything is really important. And also just our background too, I think, in sewing and in the amount of years that we did alterations on wedding gowns. looking inside some of them is disgusting.
I do remember when we used to do bridesmaids dresses. This was before, well, we did them for a couple of years when we owned the business, but even when we were just doing the alterations and we didn't own the actual wedding gown portion of it, we would do the alterations on the bridesmaids and opening them up to see the insides of them, and the thread colors were all different. Like if you're working on a blue dress and you've got pink thread in there, the seams are all over the place. Like seeing you're right, it has jaded us in one way and trained us really well in another way.
True.
Seeing the insides and seeing the construction, because essentially if you're going to take care of the way that you make a dress, then you care about your product.
Correct.
We want you to care about the product that you're selling us, because we very much care about the product that we are selling to our brides.
Correct.
So your second point, it's like knowing our market. So it goes for any business, really, because if you have a product that people are, or a service that people are coming to you for, you need to know who those people are. Why do people come to us? And I would say one of the reasons is because we care about quality. So it is so important to us that we give you something that is quality. We give you service that is quality. We're very particular. We need to have that in mind when we see the dresses as well. We go to this market and I can't even fathom how many dresses were there.
I wouldn't even be able to begin to tell you.
1,000. I don't like insanity, absolute insanity of how many white dresses we could look at, or like marginally colored dresses we could look at that would fit into the wedding gown area. So we have to know who our bride is and who we draw.
Correct.
Who's attracted to us.
Correct. Yep.
So those are the reasons that we go. What we wanted to talk about too is like this other shop that we saw. And we saw one of the girls that we know in our area who also runs a bridal boutique. And seeing her at the beginning and the excitement and of course we're feeling these feelings. I'm not saying that she's the only one. Like we're excited. This is fun. Seeing all the things is incredible.
Absolutely.
But this is her first time. So it was reminiscent for me of the first time that we went, or even the first time that we went to Barcelona, which was not our first show, but very different.
Yeah. That was even more vendors there. More designers, more like even gala gowns, more everything. And the showroom itself was big. That was crazy on another crazy level. And more people.
Yeah, a lot more people. And then seeing this other woman at the end of the show, and I agree with you, we probably look the same because it's not like we sleep well through these things either. But the look on everyone's face is just, overwhelmed. You're overdone and you've seen so many things. But one of the aspects that she touched on when we saw her at the airport in the end is, I don't even know what I saw. I don't even know what I bought. And
I remember that feeling.
Been there, done that, yeah. Which is why it's so important. You're right. It's why it's so important that you have to have like your bride in mind and your brand in mind. But also it's not a warning. I'm not thinking of the right term, but if you go in unprepared, the job of the people at the market is to sell to you.
Correct.
They're trying to get you to buy their brand. They're trying to get you to buy their dresses. Yeah. They are salespeople.
They're salespeople.
So if you're not prepared, then you very well might end up with
buying a bunch of dresses. You don't know what you just bought. I mean, and we've done it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it took us 3 days and we didn't even look at all the brands that were there. Because I mean, there's a part too where we can't, like some people have exclusivity on certain brands. So we can't even pick up some of the brands that were there, which is great in a way, because then you're just like, I'm not even looking at those. I'm not even looking. I can walk past that booth and not even think about it. That's great. Other than, I mean, you look to see what is trending for the season, because every designer has similar looks. So you're like, what's trending this season? What does everybody have? And that'd be like the only reason we look at everybody's booth. But I mean, most of the time we can just bypass some and it's much easier on my brain. Don't have to shove that in there too.
It is much easier, but I agree. I found it incredible to look at the edges of every booth and then see what the similarities were, because like seeing what the next fashions are, as far as the bridal industry has decided what the fashions are for the next year or so. Yeah. Seeing replications of it in almost every known brand was very interesting, because we haven't done this show. We didn't go through the pandemic. It's probably been 4 or 5 years since we did a market.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's been a while.
So we haven't been in this hub, this insanity of business buying, of like buying wedding gowns for the shop. Yeah. We have done it all online, or they come to us or we go to them or whatever, but it's always like a one of. We've never seen all of them in one place.
No, exactly.
For quite some time. Yeah. So seeing the trends, seeing the similarities in the fabrics, and in the styles was very cool.
Yeah, agree.
And very helpful, because otherwise we're basing it on social media a lot. Like our research is what we see, what comes to us, what we look through for wedding magazines, wedding industry things, which are helpful.
Yes.
But I mean, we have already talked about the fact that whatever algorithm you're on is the algorithm you're on. If we're not on the right one that other people are on, then we're not saying the same thing.
What's really cool about these shows as well is they know, I mean, we're people as well, just like when brides come to the shop and you have areas where you can take a selfie, or we talk about when you say yes to the dress. For us, we have a dress book, so you actually get to sign the book or sign the dress with a pen on a white wedding gown and sign your name. So everyone loves that. Well, it's the same, we're human too, we love doing that kind of stuff. So they were smart enough to have like booths everywhere, or little areas to set up that would say, you know, in the National Bridal Market, or they'd have plants and a chair, and everything was very cute as a setup, and everybody used it to do their social media bit or shtick and be like, we were here at the bridal market, which is great for them, great for all the vendors who are there as well.
Gets the word out for everyone. I thought it was very cool too, because you took one of those pictures. Well, we took a lot of them. I think every couch that was set up for a selfie, and Stacey was like, sit down,
sit down.
Take a picture. But you posted one of them one of the days, and the market actually reposted it.
Yes.
And I mean, it's a fairly big deal. There were, I don't want to say 1 million people in that building, but there might have been.
Like it. Oh my gosh.
There were a lot of people. So I mean, posting people's content is pretty impressive.
Yes.
That they are taking the time to do that while it's running.
That's very true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's the feel of it was cool, because like even the models, I don't think there were very few times where those selfie areas were not being used. Like,
if it wasn't for us or like other bridal boutiques, it was the models from the designers, and the models would go over and take the pictures in front of it and do the same thing. They would use those as, you know, their Instagram photos, social photos of any kind. Yeah.
It's essentially like, if you picture it, this does happen more than once a year, and people go repeatedly when you own a wedding store or gala store. Mm-hmm. But essentially picture it as your wedding in a way. This one huge event that happens over a day or 3 days, depending on how long you stay. Yeah. There's selfie opportunities. There's a reason to be there. It's all wedding related. Yep. Everybody's coming together to sort of celebrate wedding in a way, wedding fashion.
Definitely.
That's just came to my mind. Look at me thinking of similarities.
We get to have weddings every day of the year for the last 27 years. You think we'd be bored of it by now?
You know, I actually got this completely off topic. I got in an argument about that with Voltaire the other day, because he knows what we do. He knows there are wedding gowns in this store,
right?
And that people wear those wedding gowns for their wedding.
Okay.
And then the other day, he's 9. He's known this his entire life. Like 2-3 weeks ago, he's sitting in the car and he goes, well, like, how many times could you actually, like, how many brides you actually have? Because it's not like everybody gets married. It's not like, what are there like what did he say? His numbers were like something like 10 people a year get married or something. So like, what do you do the rest of the time? And I was like, oh buddy.
I remember with the babes.
Yeah, no concept of, but I mean, I also still argue with him that he has no concept of like time or the relationship of numbers to each other. So yeah, he's not one to base it on. But no, even in Ottawa, the wedding, like the amount of weddings that would happen in a wedding season, which is still summer, are huge. Yeah. Every weekend, the amount of venues that we have in the Ottawa area.
And it's not like we only have brides from Ottawa. Our brides are everywhere. Montreal, Toronto, the St. Lawrence, like down the Seaway. And then we even go as far as like Europe. We have people fly in to come see us. So it's not like we're just Ottawa brides. And it is, I guess it's, when you're not in the industry, you don't know, obviously. So because everybody always says, oh, something about being in Carleton Place and Carleton Place brides. I'm like, if we were only dealing with brides from Carleton Place, we would be bankrupt.
Then yes, the numbers of brides would be very small. Yeah,
10 a year.
Probably, because our town is not large enough to hold any number of, you'd have to be like of the marrying age, and but I'm not even remotely getting into the geographical pull we have with him if he thinks that there's 10 weddings a year in the greater Ottawa area, and I'm like, well, we pull from these areas. Then he's just gonna argue with me that we pull from those areas. He doesn't know that we're a big deal. He'll learn
one day. I don't think my guys know that, and they're 20.
Never mind, maybe they'll never know.
You're just mom. That's it.
That's fine. I'm okay with that.
Yep.
I do enjoy going to the shows, and of course I do. We've done Chicago 3 times. We did Barcelona. I would love to go back to Barcelona.
Yes. That's the plan. We need to go to New York.
I would like to go to New York,
Yep.
possibly next.
Yep.
I do, whereas in Chicago, and I believe, I mean, we haven't been to Atlanta or Vegas or any of the others, I believe they're set up the same, where it's one building.
I would assume so.
I do know that New York is not.
Oh, you have to skip hop all over the place, different to the boutiques. Okay. All
They're
right.
in different
That'd be
areas.
very cool.
And it is cool in the sense that we always try to combine these with seeing things for our own personal gain as well. Because if we're traveling somewhere, we love
I want to
traveling.
see let me see some things while we're here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at least we'll see New York when we go.
That'd be cool.
It is on my list.
All right. Atlanta would be great too.
You want to see Atlanta?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been to the airport in Atlanta.
I think so have I, actually.
Oh, I think we were together.
Were we? No, I was with Logan, I think.
Really?
Because I had to, I didn't tell him we had to do 2 stops. We had to hit Toronto and then Atlanta and then to the next stop. And he was not.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, he was real unhappy with me.
Yeah. I think I do remember that. Seen a lot of airports.
Seen a lot of airports, yeah.
Okay, so New York next.
Okay, deal.
It's hard as the business purpose. I mean, combining the two. So we want to do this for fun because we do love what we do, but we want to enjoy life outside of what we do as well. I would love to see New York. I haven't seen it yet. The buildings in Chicago were beautiful.
Yes.
The architecture is incredible.
Incredible.
But combining the two, like, we were new to Barcelona. We'd only done it the one time, and we were still somewhat new to buying dresses at that time. But I do feel like we didn't manage Barcelona well.
No, we didn't.
We didn't manage our time well either.
I think it's almost like 5 days as well, is it not? I'm pretty sure it's longer. Like, I think Chicago's only like 3 days. I feel like Barcelona was longer, but we only took 3 days or something to do it, whereas we took the full 3 days in Chicago, and that was almost not enough. But we made some big changes as well when we were there. So that's another thing that doesn't help on top when you're looking at what designs and, you know.
It's not just the same old, same old. It's making new decisions.
Yeah.
And making them as a team, because that was the point.
Yes, exactly. So we're also training the our managers to be able to go do this where we don't have to be there. I mean, we'll probably always tag along or just show up to one of the days. And
I mean, we
like,
did joke about that. If we go to New York or Barcelona next, we're just going for the fun of it. You guys can go buy the dresses and we'll go travel. But I mean, it feeds back exactly into that point. If we're not prepared, we weren't prepared for Barcelona, but we also get carried away with the fact that we want to have our own fun as well. We were in Barcelona. Can
you imagine? I just went and I did my stuff and then I left. I would be so upset.
I did my work trip and I didn't see anything else. So, I mean, we were very particular about seeing the other things. Yeah. So probably did we waste a lot of time seeing things for fun? Yes. Could we have spent more time at the market? Absolutely, we could have.
Yeah.
Next time we'll have to go longer. A week in Barcelona.
How long were we last time? Were we not a week?
Were we? Oh, we had that industry night too.
Yeah, that was so cool.
That was beautiful.
Man, I don't think anybody's going to top that industry night. That was wild. So they put on an industry night that I don't think... We were outside in some courtyard type thing, but it was enormous. And there was some guy cooking quail eggs. And they had these crazy hors d'oeuvres everywhere. They were serving, I want to say it was probably champagne.
I'm sure there was
a ton, like wine, there was everything, but you had to go through this sort of big chateau style type thing that was already gated, and then you went through another gate to get to this courtyard. It was just very opulent. They did a really good job at putting it together, and everyone was very dressed extremely well. And then after that we went to the fashion show, which was in almost like a cellar. Like, we had to go downstairs, and it was a bit sketchy because everything's dark. Everything's really dark and like dimly lit, right? But there's, thousands of people. So you go down to the cellar type thing, and then it opens up, and it's this huge rounded ceilings, and then they had the catwalk down one of the middles, and that's we all sat in rows and just watched these girls. It was crazy. Like, it was so crazy. It was so neat. And we were on this underground stone thing. Oh my gosh, it was so cool. Nobody has topped that one yet.
Nobody has topped that. And I would have to say, though, I do think that might be a part of the European show that I'm not positive the ones in the States have. I do know the Bridal Fashion Week, the one that we would be going to in New York, it is labeled Bridal Fashion Week. So there are catwalks, there are runways, but again, we've never been. So, we'll find out when we go. Yeah. But I feel like they're not to the same size because it's each designer on their own in their own area. Right. And it would also depend which designers you're looking at.
Yeah, good point.
So Rosa Clara was based in Barcelona.
Right. And they had, they had the ability to know the people, and they know the places and that kind of thing. Yes, of course.
But you're right. Absolutely phenomenal. So next time we go to one of these, we have to pick the right location, like the right show, so that we can do something spectacular like that again.
Okay,
Deal. So what are our takeaways?
We're not traveling enough.
We're not traveling enough. I feel like the answer was supposed to be prepared.
Oh yeah, right. Sorry. I now feel like going to book a flight. Is that what that was?
We're going to Barcelona. No, that was not the point.
Takeaways, yeah. As many days as possible that you can get at whatever show you're going to.
Don't rush it.
Don't rush it. And don't rush to buy when you're there either. Because I know of course, a lot of them are like, they'll give you incentives to buy if you're there. But it's a big deal because if you actually bring in the wrong products into your store, they'll sit. And then it's a loss being in your store, taking up space.
It's a loss to the money that you spent on them and a loss to the space that they're taking up because they could have something there that would be worthwhile.
Yep. Yeah.
So like back to your points of know your brand and know your bride, know what you need. But yes, don't get carried away. That absolutely.
Because it is easy to.
Extremely.
Like, if you think about it, if you don't own a bridal boutique, you don't own anything, whatever, like, you as a person, if you went in somewhere and you could be like, I get to buy from this designer 7 dresses. And then you go to the next one and I can buy 7 more dresses. Like, it's easy to get carried away. We still do it sometimes. And we have to be like, no, I don't need that. No, we don't need that one. We need to power down. Like, do we really need that? But it's still easy to get carried away with the dresses because they're pretty. They're really pretty.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah.
There's a reason it's hard for brides to choose one dress.
Yeah.
We have to do this multiple times a year.
50 a year, you know?
I want to know of our listeners, what are the other similarities? Like, we're discussing a very particular bridal market because that's our industry.
Correct.
It's one of our industries. It's at the moment our largest.
Yeah.
What have you done that is similar? I know there are other industries that do these kinds of things, or trade shows, or those, like, I know there are a lot of businesses that go to trade shows and we've never done those.
No, true.
Let me know what the similarities or the differences are. Are there other areas where you get carried away or where you are expected to purchase things on the spot? Because to me, that is trying to get you to make that decision where you could think about it a little bit. That's why we took 3 days.
Yeah.
Because we came back and thought about our business. So let me know the similarities or the differences between what you do in your industry and your takeaways from that in comparison to what we've experienced.
Love it.
And thank you for listening.
She took away my line.
Go ahead, Stacey.
It's fine. You said it already. Thanks for listening, everybody.